there are doctors out there that want to medicalize everything, right? We don't have enough business and we're losing it. We got to medicalize and make everything a medical condition. In that way, we can cover it by insurance. It will be given out by prescription. And that includes what? Exercise? Could the next prescription pad be a pad? Somebody would say, oh, that'd be great. They're not going to prescribe a drug. Do you need a doctor to prescribe you exercise to know that you should be exercising? Good Lord, how far have we come? You want to talk about knuckle draggers again?
They are so serious about this, and it's crazy when you get into this that there's this physiologist, Michael Joyner, that honestly believes that a sedentary lifestyle should be considered a medical condition.
Yeah. But what does that mean? I mean, Super Don, does that mean if I tell somebody with a sedentary lifestyle that they need to exercise, I can be practicing medicine without a license? I mean, doesn't that...
Robert, you know what? We have talked about stuff like this in the past, and we've made jokes about it. Because you remember when we talked about how they were trying to go after people for saying, if you drink water, it'll keep you from being dehydrated. Remember that?
Right. That's right. And then it makes the water a drug.
That's right. Yeah. So you just have to kind of just connect the dots here. If being a couch potato is a medical condition, and if a doctor can prescribe exercise, that means the doctor is prescribing something to treat a medical condition, which according to the FDA turns that into a drug.
Exercise, the new drug. And of course, those of you who exercise and get the endorphin high, you know that it might be a drug. But no, not really. But there are addictions associated with it. But in this context, you're right. Exercise will be regulated as a drug, which means what? That if you do it, you're going to have permission, a prescription from a licensed physician. As it stands now, the gatekeepers to all drugs. This is something that I didn't consider. I mean, when my wife goes out kickboxing, she's going to need to get a prescription for it. And the kickboxing instructor is going to be considered what? A drug conduit? An intravenous something?
Or how about practicing medicine without a license?
Right. So they will have to now be licensed. Kickboxing instructors, karate instructors that are taking care of your kids and helping them to get growth fit.
Richard Simmons may end up in jail.
Richard Simmons, a new drug. Wait, no, he's an old drug. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I tell you what, these stories are just so bizarre. And you're right, this guy's taking it deadly seriously. And I don't know him, so maybe he genuinely is concerned. It's like, wow, we could really help so many people if we could just medicalize inactivity. But the unintended consequences, we already know what they are. I mean, this brings the government and government medicine into more places that it doesn't belong, and it already is in so many more places that it's never belonged.
Well, consider this. You saw the trouble that Steve Cooksey got into because he got on his blog and he gave advice on how to eat in order to treat diabetes, right?
Right.
Well, if you go into this article, you can see it says on here, according to this guy, that there are several medical conditions that are associated with a lack of exercise, things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and things of that nature. So, what happens now if you've got a blog and you say, hey, go exercise, it'll make your fibromyalgia feel better, or it'll help alleviate, certain pains or things that you've got. Are you now going to get attacked for sharing that information and giving that advice? I mean, this could potentially open up a Pandora's box that is going to get a lot of people in trouble trying to shut down free speech and try and give more power to the medical industrial complex. Well,
the soma of Aldous Huxley is very real here. It's the brave new world, and this would take it further into that place where we've talked about this. Every normal part of human life, who hasn't been a couch potato, right? And that suddenly now becomes a medical condition, much like a simple act of questioning the official story, right? We all have oppositional defiance disorder. We all have ODD. The simple act of believing with all your heart and mind and spirit, and including basing it on the facts that we have here, that eating organically grown local food is far superior than chemically grown chocolate milk that Allie is drinking, that we become a psychiatric disorder known as orthorexia. Every aspect of wanting to be healthy now becomes medicalized and it will be covered under Obamacare. If you don't participate, does that mean jail time for couch potatoes, right? You're not taking your diagnosis very well. You're taking it lying down. We want you to stand up and do something. But you couldn't find what? A licensed karate instructor or kickboxer because there's a shortage, because nobody can pay for all the instructors that need to be licensed now? Because, I mean, this is a recipe for beyond disaster. Where do you go from this?
Yeah. Well, and there's something that I find rather disturbing outside of what we've already talked about, that this Dr. Joyner goes on to say that if we medicalized exercise, if we medicalized inactivity and made that a disorder, he says, and then we can take public health measures like we did for smoking, drunk driving, and other things to limit physical inactivity and promote physical activity. So what is it that he's encouraging right there?
Cattle prods, everybody has to wear a cattle prod.
We want to legislate exercise. Yeah, we want to put in place government getting in there and making you exercise. Now, should people exercise? Sure. Do I want government coming and telling me that you have to, and to have campaigns?
Hey, I want Mayor Blomberg to be our kickboxing instructor.
But really, I mean, look at what he's doing. He's doing basically that's a good model, I think, of what this guy is trying to push for. It's like you can't buy anything over a 16-ounce soda. You can't have anything with trans fats. You can't have too much salt. Now, what is it they're going to do? They're going to say, now you cannot sit on your couch for more than an hour and a half. I mean, government getting in there and telling you what it is you can and can't do. If you want to be a couch potato, I would encourage that. But, at what point are we willing to give up our freedom to decide if I want to take a nap for 3 hours on my couch, leave me the hell alone?
Yeah. Well, in the article, it says if physical inactivity were treated as a medical condition itself rather than simply a cause or byproduct of other medical conditions, physicians may become more aware of the value of prescribing supported exercise. Listen, if they've been through all that schooling and they're not aware of the value of supportive exercise, how did they get to become doctors? I mean, that's why I call it a degree. I mean, come on, you don't have to say much more. Do they really need this so that doctors will figure this out? Are doctors that dunderheaded that they don't get it? I mean, this is really an insult to doctors from Dr. Joyner. I would be offended if I were a medical doctor. And then they're going to talk about formal rehab programs that include, guess what? Aldous Huxley, welcome back. Cognitive and behavioral therapy. There you go. See how we tie it into the psychiatric community? This is no accident, my friends. That's why you listen to the Robert Scott Bell Show, so you can navigate and understand these little benign things. You guys are just making a mountain out of a molehill. No, we're not.